Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Scooter Roth, and welcome to another episode of the Messy Desk. Things are a little bit off schedule right now, as you can imagine, but I'm here in my pajamas, and so should you. You should be in your pajamas, too. So with that being said, everybody pretty much in the entire country right now is under stay-at-home orders. So photographers around the country are looking for creative ways to both, do photography still in their house and improve certain areas. So I've been working kind of on my macro photography. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and some in-home creativity photography. And then they're working on the business side of things as well. So we're going to cover some of that. But real quick, there's certain photography news that I want to talk about. Obviously, with the new payment protection stimulus plan that was passed. Now, independent contractors like ourselves, photographers, are able to now apply for unemployment benefits. So if you haven't had a chance to fill that out, go online to the irs.gov and fill out the information to do that. So that's your unemployment state. So not irs.gov. That's where you find the links for the Sba loans. But you go to your local state's unemployment thing. So I'm gonna post some information like that down below. But make sure to go and fill out the information. The sooner that you submit your information, the faster the process can happen. Because as you have seen, unemployment claims have been going through the roof. Now I'm not going to hold that against anybody politically wise, because when you are including people like us into those figures, obviously those figures are going to be blown up. And anyway, so with that being said, you are able to apply for unemployment insurance now as a 1099 independent contractor. Normally we can't. We don't have an employer. So that's where that factors into it. The other thing is that with the IRS extending the filing date to July 15th, as you may have aware, what you may not be thinking about is the fact that that also extends the amount of time that you can contribute to your IRA. Now, if you are an independent contractor and a professional photographer that's running your own business, you may be aware, hopefully, that you can contribute to an IRA account, and the up to $5,000 of that is tax deductible. So that deadline of April 15th normally is extended as well to July 15th. So you have until July 15th now to contribute to your IRA account and use that as a tax write-off. So that's important things to think about. The other thing that I want to mention regarding along the same line of thinking is the fact that Sba Loans, the Small Business Association or Small Business Administration, whatever the A part is, but Sba loans are going to be forgivable so long as the money is being used towards your business for things like payroll, paying rent, specific things like that. You wouldn't necessarily, I don't believe, be able to just buy a bunch of new equipment and upgrade. You can't use these loans for that. But if they're for these specific things, helping keeping your employees paid, if you have employees, but if you don't, if you're self-employed and it's just you, certain things like using it towards rent and some of those bills, maybe if you have any insurance payments or medical payments or things like that, I believe those are qualified. So you can look a little bit more into those. So that's something that you should be aware of as well. The SBA loans right now, a big chunk of them are forgivable whenever those loans finally do come through. I know it's a big waiting process right now. So with that being said, because of the fact that the July 15th new date for doing your taxes with that extension, I thought it'd be a good time. I was going to be doing this even for the April 15th deadline coming up, but I wanted photographers like yourself to be aware of something called the Section 179 rule. Now, that's not something you can take advantage of necessarily right now. As far as things that you can write off, but what the Section 179 rule is that it allows things that you would normally write off over, let's say, a 5 or 7 year span, such as a car or major equipment. Maybe you brought a new camera, maybe you brought a new computer, major expenses like that you normally have to write off a little bit over a 5 year to 7 year span based on the shelf life or use life of the item. Section 179 rule allows you to write off the full amount up to a certain dollar amount. So let's say I brought a car, not this year, but a few years ago, and I used the Section 179 rule. So with that, the Section 179 rule, you can write off vehicles that are above 6,000 pounds for the full amount. So what that means is, let's say, so I have a 2011 Honda Pilot that I brought for, the loan was about $18,000, and that was back in 2016. So for the filing tax year 2017, because I put the car into business use and purchased it in 2016, when I did my taxes for the 2016 year in 2017, I did a Section 179 rule because the Honda Pilot was over 6,000 pounds. So with that Section 179 rule, it allowed me to write off the entire $18,000 loan. So this is where the important part is that the way that taxes normally does is that if your vehicle isn't above 6,000 pounds, let's say it's, just a regular sedan or something that you're using occasionally for business, and you're also using it for personal reasons, you can write off up to 11,000 of the amount. So if you brought the car for 15, 20, 30,000, you can only write off up to 11,000, and you have to spread that 11,000 over the course of 5 to 7 years, and you can only do the business percentage that you're using. So if you're keeping track of your mileage and you're only doing, let's say, 50% of your mileage is considered business use, then whatever that amount that you could write off that year. So let's say in year one you're able to write off 2,000 of the 11,000. So in year one, when you're going to write off 2,000, because only 50% of the use of the vehicle was for business, you can only write off 1,000 of the 2,000. So you brought a new car, and because it wasn't above the 6,000 amount, 6,000 pounds, you weren't able to do a Section 179 for the vehicle, and you can only write off $1,000. But with my vehicle being above 6,000 pounds, I was able to write off the full amount. I was able to Section 179 rule it, and that allowed me to write off the full 18,000 in 1 year. So instead of 1 to 2,000 being able to write off, you can write off the full 18,000. That 18,000 at your tax rate of 15% is a difference of $2,000-$3,000 off your tax bill. So when you factor that math-wise, it's like I'm basically buying a $18,000 car for only $14,000-$15,000. So you can look at it. Obviously, this is something that you'd want to speak to an accountant who, has calculators and able to do that real math quick right there for you. But that's something to talk about to your accountant. And if don't have an accountant and you're just doing the taxes on your own, you're filing them because you're a small business or it's just you, that's something that you should look into. So look into the Section 179 rule and look into that when you're buying the next vehicle. So that might be a reason to get that nicer SUV vehicle, because it gets a little bit of a better tax write-off depending on the vehicle. So those are a couple different business things that you should be thinking about right now. And those all had to do with your taxes. So that's where I'm at. It's actually Easter Sunday. So happy Easter, everybody. And I'm going to be talking real soon about some other photography projects that you may have been working on at home. I know I've been doing some macro stuff, so I'm going to talk a little bit about macro photography. There's different projects out there that you can take part in. Peter McKinnon here on YouTube has a thing called PM Photo Assignments. So you can hashtag that and keep track every week of the assignments that he's putting out there. He's challenging photographers to do things within their home, like isolation and stuff like that. Jordy Koalitic, who is another huge photographer, especially on Instagram and TikTok. He's got a creative lockdown hashtag going where he's challenging photographers to come up with creative photos that emphasize being at home. So if you're doing that kind of photography, use hashtag creative lockdown and tag Jordy Koalitic in it. And you'll get a little bit more exposure in your photos like that. So those are some things to take part in. But anyway, this is a quick business update for the Messy Desk, and I'll see you soon. Take care, be well, stay at home, and put on some damn pajamas.